Pues fuimos golpeados, fuimos...
We were beaten, starved, and physically and psychologically tortured.
In a cockroach-infested house in Gomez Palacio, Mexico, Alejandro Hernandez and two fellow journalists are struggling to stay alive. They've been kidnapped.
No.
They never told us which drug cartel they were affiliated with.
Mexican authorities were searching for the hostages, but the 5-day nightmare ended on 31 July when the kidnappers simply released them. Alejandro and another cameraman roamed the streets until they found the police.
A mí me limpian la herida.
They treated our injuries and gave us water and something to eat.
Y nos dice un policía.
One of the policemen told us President Calderon wanted to see us, so we were flown to Mexico City.
He'd never see his president. Instead, Mexican authorities held a press conference and took credit for the rescue.
El señor de la policía.
The police said that when they arrived at the house where we were being held, the kidnappers fled. At the time, I didn't feel it was safe to say that that wasn't true.
Even worse is what happened next.
They also said our kidnappers worked for Chapo Guzman.
El Chapo Guzman.
Alejandro doesn't know who it is. It's the federal police who's saying it's Chapo Guzman.
Carlos Spector is an immigration lawyer in El Paso, Texas.
The federal police had duped Alejandro into going to Mexico City under the pretense that they were going to be welcomed as conquering heroes by President Calderon. The Mexican federal police needed a great story, and so they couldn't help themselves but to have a press conference indicating to the world that the federal police had saved them from Chapo Guzman.
Hubiera sido muy fácil.
They should have just issued a press release. I don't like how I was exposed.
5 days after the press conference, police arrested these 3 men for the kidnapping.
So now he fears the cartels because the police had said that he's going to testify against them. There's a series of front-page articles throughout Mexico that say Chapo Guzman responsible for kidnappings, and then they have a picture of Chapo Guzman and a picture of Alejandro with 4 heads decapitated on the bottom. So there's a not too subtle message that this is what happens to individuals that confront the cartels.
Yo siento miedo.
I'm really scared. Everyone knows who I am now.
Ellos no les importó.
The police didn't care. They only protected me for 20 days, and after the investigation was over, I was on my own. I flew here the next day because I could no longer stay in Mexico. I fear for my life, and that is why I'm seeking asylum in the United States and asking for the help of the U.S. government.
Alejandro represents a new wave of political exiles. Alejandro is the new Mexican immigrant.
Along the Arizona-Mexico border, U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents are the first line of defense. And it's not just boots on the ground.
Right now we're about 15,000 feet AGL, above ground level.
Remotely piloted aircraft like this Predator are frequently deployed to war zones like Afghanistan. Here in Arizona, it's being used to detect and apprehend those trying to infiltrate our border.
The agents have asked us to look at an area that's just south of where we are now.
Negative, should be about a mile. 10-4, 10-4.
Colonel, what I'd like to show you is a map of the state of Arizona. And
Chief Victor Manjarres is the man in charge of Border Patrol's busiest operational area, Tucson sector.
This is actually the Arizona-New Mexico state line. And we go all the way down from that point to the point up here. So that 262 miles has been the focus of the country in terms of narcotics and illegal immigration.
We've seen some of the National Guardsmen who've already reported for duty.
There'll be 504 of those that'll be with Tucson sector. We focus on those individuals, key locations.
Is it more dangerous today than perhaps 2, 3, 5, 8 years ago?
It is. The state of Arizona has really become the last stand.
Smuggling has evolved from your typical mom and pop shop to organized crime, drug trafficking organizations that are actually controlling both the flow of drugs as well as of human smuggling.
David Jimenez is one of 3,400 agents assigned to Tucson sector.
The Border Patrol is an all-threats agency, so it's ready and it is equipped to combat any threats of violence that might spill over from the current situation in Mexico.
Border Patrol's challenges are as diverse as the terrain it covers, from uninhabited desert, including all of Tohono O'odham Indian Nation, to populated urban areas.
Alert 2.
657 on time.
Negative, sir.
So we're in the Nogales control room right now, and there's a series of cameras that are actually monitoring the border. That ridge top right there is a common place where scouts will start watching our shift changes, watching the way that the agents are moving. Everything is resting upon these agents' vigilance. Once they see something, they'll go and contact the agents on the ground and let them know, hey, you know what, I got a group of 2 coming over the fence right now.
We're more mobile, we're quicker to respond.
On a rainy day in downtown Nogales, Agent Scott Connors waits for an alert from the control room. He supervises a team of agents on bicycles.
It's an urban area, you got a lot of traffic, pedestrians walking, vehicles driving around. It's easier for us to get in and out of traffic. One of our main priorities is to patrol the tunnels.
Beneath Nogales and extending into Mexico is a vast underground network of drainage tunnels to prevent flooding. The subterranean maze is monitored by Border Patrol cameras and sensors.
If they're not smuggling above ground over the fence, trying to get into a vehicle, they're using the tunnels underground. This one here is what we call Mole Tunnel. It has constant water flowing through it.
The southern end of this tunnel is in Mexico. It stretches about a mile into the U.S.
And there's our gate. Prior to having these gates installed, we would average anywhere from 50 to 60 per group coming through these tunnels. And if they were smuggling narcotics, it would be anywhere from 300-400 up to 1,000 pounds. Cocaine, methamphetamines, you name it, they're trying to smuggle it.
If smugglers manage to cross undetected, Border Patrol agents can still stop them.
Very first thing is to drop down here.
This manhole connects to the underground drainage system.
It's probably going to take them anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes to get to this point.
Patrolling the putrid maze is a dirty job.
Granted, it wasn't in the job description, but I love it.
It's almost the end of the bike patrol shift when a call comes in.
10-4 is going northbound.
They had visual of the 2 bodies cross the fence.
Coming up, Agent Scott Connors finds out who breached the border fence.
Good morning, Omaha 465, single UH-60 will be transitioning eastbound along the fence.
500 feet above San Diego, California, this Black Hawk helicopter is Border Patrol's eyes in the sky.
Border transition approved eastbound, altimeter 2998. 998, Omaha 465, roger.
Office of Air and Marine Agents Dale Pike, Chris Riccardi, and John Murphy are on the lookout for infiltrators.
We're just passing San Ysidro, which is the largest port of entry in the world.
That bottleneck is in Tijuana, Mexico.
Clear left.
It's clear right, nose one.
When we patrol, we are always looking for that needle in a haystack.
That needle could be hidden among the 50,000 vehicles that cross this port of entry legally every day. Not only is it the busiest, but the Tijuana-San Diego corridor is also one of the most lucrative for illegal trafficking.
Smugglers moving humans or narcotics or terrorists. The only thing he cares about is making money.
In November 2010, a Mexican cartel tried to funnel 30 tons of marijuana into California through an 1,800-foot-long tunnel. The payload, worth an estimated $20 million, was interdicted in this area. It was one of the largest dope seizures in American history.
You can see a lot of the robust fencing that's going in, but what you don't see is the whole area has been embedded with sensors, seismic, as well as magnetic. It is a cat and mouse game. There is constant surveillance, counter-surveillance from printable organizations trying to look for weaknesses to penetrate the border. But it's not an easy thing to do in San Diego, and we've seen quite a bit of a shift over the water. Coming up. Coming up.
In San Diego Bay, Marine Interdiction Agents Kelly Hill and Chris Goland are locked in a hot pursuit.
Kick it up a notch, about the same speed.
But this chase isn't real.
In a real pursuit, I'd be a lot closer than that.
Today it's a drill, refining tactical skills for interdiction.
There's about 4,000 square nautical miles of area that we have to try to cover, from the border all the way to Los Angeles.
Outfitted with 4 225 horsepower Mercury outboards, night vision equipment, GPS and radar, this 39-foot speedboat nicknamed Midnight Express is a key component in Border Patrol's maritime operations.
When we're out there on a busy afternoon, you might be able to see 150 boats going every which direction. You got to try to pick out which one you want to get closer to, talk to, maybe board. What we'll do is the general questions of where you're coming from, where you're going to, when you launch, what type of fish you're catching, and you're just looking for signs of deception.
On 22 August 2010, San Diego Border Patrol Office of Air and Marine set a record. Kelly Hill told us about the legendary seizure.
In that questioning during the boarding, the agents got, this doesn't add up right. And they had figured out by searching through the boat that there was a space that they couldn't access at all. They got out the drill, got out the saws, drilled into it, and there it was. And it was about 140 pounds of meth and about 11 pounds of coke, which was the largest maritime meth seizure in the United States.
.470 miles east of San Diego in Nogales, Arizona, Border Patrol agent Scott Connors is en route to check out a breach.
10-4 was just going northbound.
When he arrives, his agents have already apprehended 2 men who jumped the fence.
We've got to search them for any type of weapons or anything, make sure they don't have any contraband, so we can transport them back to the Nogales station where they'll be processed.
Watch what happens as he continues to explain procedure.
Back to Mexico as soon as possible, or if they have a...
Gunshots?
Gunshots.
Gunfire from Mexico.
It's pretty common over here with all the violence going on the south side. I mean, luckily, you know, we're still standing here.
I want to get them out of here.
South side. Yep.
The agents move to a safer location where the men are questioned. They're both Mexican nationals who are fingerprinted and processed for prosecution. When we come back, our War Stories team goes to one of the most dangerous areas of our country. What we find will shock you.